Hello everyone, welcome in our online session of chemistry. In previous session we have discussed about introduction to chemistry, what is chemistry, what are different branches of chemistry, right? Even we have seen different types of matter, what is matter, classification of matter. We have discussed different types of matter, right? Based on physical nature, based on chemical nature. Even we have seen the subtypes of matter like elements, compounds, mixtures, right? Homogeneous mixture, heterogeneous mixture, that we have seen in our previous session. Even some of the important applications of chemistry as well as importance of chemistry was discussed in previous session, right? So today in this session we are going to study about different types of laws of chemical combination, right? Now, what are important laws of chemical combinations that are applied in chemistry? The first important law is law of conservation of mass, or you can say law of conservation of matter. It was given by the scientist Antony Lavoisier. Now, what he said that the law states that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed during any chemical reaction, or you can say the matter or mass cannot be created or destroyed in during any chemical transformation. Say for example, here there is any M metal reacts with atmospheric oxygen to give MO, that is metal oxide, right? So M is any general metal that combines with oxygen and gives metal oxide MO, that is producing one of the important reaction, that is combustion reaction. Same way, another reaction is methane reacts with oxygen to give CO2 plus H2O, that is again combustion reaction. So now in these two reaction you can see that the element M combines with element O to give MO, that is new compound. So you cannot say that this MO is created or it is generated during this reaction, because already the M element exists in the pure form, and even this oxygen O exists in its pure form, and they are just combining together to give metal oxide, that is MO. Same way here the carbon of methane combines with oxygen to give CO2, and hydrogen atoms of methane combines with oxygen to give water. So simply you can see that there is a transformation or rearrangement of atoms during this chemical reaction, right? Say for one more reaction, that is decomposition of calcium carbonate, that is CaCO3. Calcium carbonate, when it is heated, as we know that it produces calcium oxide, CaO, that is also known as quicklime, and plus it produces carbon dioxide gas, that CO2 gas is generated. It is one of the thermal decomposition reaction of calcium carbonate. And say it is taken 100 grams initially in the reaction, and we are heating 100 grams of calcium carbonate continuously. So on heating it will produce a constant mass of 56 grams, that is of quicklime, and 56 gram calcium oxide is produced from 100 grams of calcium carbonate, and remaining amount is converted into CO2 gas, that is 44 grams carbon dioxide gas is generated, right? And when you are adding these two masses together, 56 and 44, we are getting 100 grams, that is initial mass of the reactant, right? So you can say that mass is conserved during this chemical reaction. Initially how much weight of reactants you are taking, ultimately it is converted into products as well as the byproducts, and even the total of products would be equivalent to initial reactants, right? Say for one general reaction is given here, R1 reactant combines with another R2 reactant, gives product P1 and P2. So when you are adding the masses of R1 plus R2, that is reactant 1 and reactant 2, say it is any x gram, total is x gram, would be equivalent to the masses of P1 plus P2, that is again would be same x grams, right? So this law proves that whenever there is a chemical transformation, the masses of reactants which are utilized as well as products which are produced would always would be equivalent, right? It would be equivalent in nature, right? So that is first law, conservation of mass or matter. Now second is law of definite proportion. Now this law was deduced by Joseph Proust. He had introduced this law of definite proportion. The law states that any given compound will always contain exactly the same proportion of elements by its weight, right? It says that any compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements, that is percentage of elements present according to their weights would be always be similar. Now this law can be understood from the example of water molecule. Say for example you are taking water which is produced in laboratory, that is distilled water, right? Pure lab water, which is distilled water H2O. Same way water which is produced during electrolysis process. There are two samples of water, one is from laboratory which is pure distilled water obtained by distillation process, and second water is from electrolysis process. So now the both water which are obtained would be having similar molecular mass, that would be 18 grams per mole, and even the amount of hydrogen atoms, you can see the two atoms of hydrogen are bonded with one atom of oxygen. So the percentage of hydrogen can be calculated as the individual mass of hydrogen, it is 1 gram, multiplied by the number of atoms, that is 2 atoms of hydrogen are present in water, divided by total mass, that is 18, multiplied by 100 gives 11.11%, that is percentage of hydrogen in water. Same way percentage of oxygen can be calculated as atomic mass multiplied by number of atoms. So here 16 is atomic mass of oxygen and the number of atoms are 1 in water, divided by 18, that is total mass of water gives 88.88. So that is percentage of oxygen 88.88 and percentage of hydrogen is 11.11. So either you are taking water from electrolysis process or from distillation process, both would be having same percentage of hydrogen as well as oxygen, means hydrogen would be remaining as 11% and oxygen would be 88% in any sample of water, right? So this law can be proven that any compound always contains the exactly same proportion of elements by its weight, means either the sample can be obtained from any of the different methods or it is produced by any of the two or more different methods would be having same composition. And even you can say either sample is naturally present or either it is synthetically produced in laboratory. Say for example copper carbonate CuCO3, the molecular mass is 123.5. Now if you are calculating the percentage, just like we have seen in water molecule, percentage of H and percentage of O. So here there are three elements, one is copper, carbon and oxygen. So now percentage of copper can be calculated as the individual mass upon total mass. So the individual mass of copper is 63.5, that is atomic mass of copper, multiplied by 1, the 1 is number of copper atom, that is 1 copper, divided by 123.5, that is total mass. So individual upon total into 100 gives percentage, which is 51.35, that is percentage composition of copper. Second is carbon. Carbon, as we know, the atomic mass is 12. 12 divided by 123.55 into 100 gives 9.74. That is percentage of carbon in this CuCO3 sample. And same way, oxygen, that is 16 multiplied by 3. Why 3? Because there are 3 atoms of oxygen in this CuCO3, 1 carbon and 1 copper. So 3 multiplied by 16 divided by 123.5 into 100 gives 38.91. So these are 3 different percentages of individual elements, that is copper, carbon and oxygen. And if you are finding out the percentage of all these 3 elements in either in natural sample or in synthetic sample, means the copper carbonate which is produced in laboratory or the copper carbonate which is obtained from nature, both would be having exactly this same elemental composition, right? As the law states that the given compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by its weight, that is percentage weight would be similar in all the type of samples, either it is synthetic or either it is made in laboratory, right? So that is second important law of chemical combination, right? So we have seen this first 2 important laws of chemical combination, right? First is conservation of matter, as well as second is law of definite proportion. In our next session, we'll study some more important laws of chemical combination with some more examples, right? So thank you all of you for joining this session.